Morning, my name is Josh from Cyclone Oz, and today we do have a little bit to talk about around the nation's weather. I apologise for the lack of a video yesterday. I was enjoying my birthday, but we are back at it with daily weather updates indefinitely. We're also going to be taking a look at a tropical cyclone not impacting Australia but somewhere else around the world, and we're going to be talking about some heavy rainfall expected for New South Wales and parts of the Northern Territory too. And we'll also take a look at the weather for far north Queensland because some things could be happening there in a couple of days' time. But first, starting things off, we're going to talk about what happened in Perth last night. We had some pretty significant thunderstorms move through. You might be able to see them on the remnants of these thunderstorms on the satellite imagery. They were really clearing out by around 8 or 9 o'clock last night, but some places picked up a very healthy amount of rainfall. We're talking up to 50 millimetres and beyond, especially around Dwelling Up and Serpentine. In fact, one private weather station picked up 120 millimetres of rainfall. So likely going to be a little bit of flooding, maybe some puddles or two around at the Dwelling Up Serpentine region. And if you are using the roads this morning down there, then drive with extra care. But apart from that, nothing else happening around Western Australia, and it is time to talk about what's going to be happening in New South Wales, because you can already see some clouds starting to build over the New South Wales area, and even some thunderstorms too. This is exactly what we're expecting on the forecast up to a week away. We're going to see this upper level trough really start to develop, and possibly some significant rain over the central parts of New South Wales along to the coastline this weekend and into early next week from this upper level trough, which is going to form into a low pressure system just offshore in the Tasman Sea. Now we're going to start things off taking this model run through day by day. If we take a look at the rain or the rain forecast from the Eastern Relief Forecast model here, which I do believe is going to be the most reliable forecast for this situation, you can already see some thunderstorms expected to be firing up across central New South Wales throughout the remainder of Friday, easing off Saturday morning as they move further towards the east, and then by Saturday evening and into early Sunday morning, they are well and truly on top of the big metro areas on the New South Wales coastline, including Sydney, Newcastle, Coffs Harbour, and then right up towards Byron Bay and the Gold Coast as well, extending into Queensland. Now, the rainfall should be at its worst Sunday morning into early afternoon, especially for locations south of Sydney and along the coastline between Newcastle up towards the Gold Coast, because the low pressure area is going to be situated basically on the top of Sydney. It's not going to be overly strong, but because it's going to be a multi-vortex low pressure system, it's going to have a lot of areas, a lot of channels of rainfall and moisture streaming in ashore, and you can see quite a few of those, especially this pretty intense one between Wollongong and Jervis Bay by the looks of it, which could be dropping some pretty significant rainfall totals as well. Once again, reciprocated amongst the other forecast models, the Access G3 supporting a pretty big time wet event on Sunday evening into early Monday morning, pushing it back about 12 hours by the looks of things. But it looks like it's going to be more sort of consistent heavy showers instead of consistent rainfall from the Access G3's forecast here. Either way, above 100 millimetres is expected for a lot of locations, especially between Narooma and Sydney, and then from Newcastle right up towards Coffs Harbour, there will be places picking up 100, 150, or even 250 millimetres, which is kind of the maximum expected at this time. Now, the showers will stick around through Monday and probably in towards Tuesday as well before they extend a little bit further up the coastline, but by then the rainfall should be well and truly clearing out of the New South Wales area. Just a couple more showers through Wednesday and then into Thursday before we see another low pressure system develop over central Australia. And by the looks of things, this might creep itself into New South Wales and Queensland as well and create a little bit of a thunderstorm, if not a wet weather event next weekend for parts of Brisbane and central Queensland and so forth. So again, we're just going to have to wait and see on that weather event. It's brand new to the forecast models. We didn't see it yesterday, but for Wednesday and Thursday, connected to this low pressure system that's up in the Arafura Sea as well, which is now kind of a definite on the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday next week. We're probably going to be seeing some rainfall occur in central Australia, some more tropical rainfall as well, so it doesn't look like wet season 2024 is willing to completely disappear on us right now. Might be one more wet weather event in the central parts of Australia, but it just looks like it's going to be light to moderate rainfall. You kind of know the sort, and that streamy cold cloud that moves in and drops those sort of 20 millimetres of light to moderate rainfall over the course of a day. That's sort of what I'm I'm expecting from this weather event through here. It's not going to be anything crazy, certainly not going to be thunderstorm focused either, but there could be a little bit of rainfall again for the desert to really wetten things up as we move into the dry season there. But apart from that, nothing else too interesting happening from this low pressure system that's going to go through New South Wales in terms of specifics for time and place. But if we were to take a look at rainfall accumulation over the next 5 days, which is when the bulk of the rainfall will be falling from this event, the peak accumulation is above 150 millimeters, in fact approaching 200 millimeters in some locations, or maybe just 150 millimeters. I don't think the Axis G3 is as bullish. Yeah, about the same though. But what's really caught my eye is just the volume of rainfall that is expected in central New South Wales around Cobar, Ivanhoe, up towards Lightning Ridge, Burke, and then inland as well, across towards Broken Hill, but not quite to Broken Hill. There'll be places picking up to 30 or 40 millimeters, and then some locations lucky enough to get 60 or 70 millimeters, which would be an excellent start to the cropping season. This winter. Certainly a shortage of hay as well across central New South Wales, so that will be a great boost to have the hay crop as well. It'll be a great boost to wheat and canola, and also for cattle and sheep ranches as well. It'd be a fantastic start to the season, this sort of 60 or 70 millimeters, which is kind of on the cards at this point, and pretty much a definite, especially for the locations around Cobar, Parkes, Dubbo, Ivanhoe, even as far south as Griffith and Wagga Wagga as well. They could be seeing some pretty significant rainfall totals. But it's not going to be significant enough or kind of instantaneous enough to cause massive flooding. It's just going to happen over a steady 24 or 36 hour period, and that is exactly the rainfall that they want and need in this part of Australia. Along the coastline, especially between Batemans Bay up towards Sydney as well, it's going to be a little bit wetter. We're probably talking closer to 150 millimeters for some locations. The majority of the Sydney metro expecting at least 70 millimeters, or at least 60 to 70 millimeters, and then inland towards Katoomba, probably up towards 80 or 85 millimeters by the looks of things. And considering it is really close to the forecast, I'm pretty confident in these numbers at this time. Saturday, expect maybe 10 to 15 millimeters through this part of Sydney. And then in towards Sunday, which is where I'm kind of expecting the bulk of the rainfall. It could be probably 50 to 80 millimeters. And then Monday as well, maybe just a little bit of rainfall on top of that, up 20 millimeters or so forth in Sydney. So if you are driving, take extra care on the roads. Definitely don't forget the rain jacket and the umbrella to work on Monday, especially in the morning. There could be a few showers around. Likely be pretty cold on Monday morning as well, so keep that in mind too. Nothing crazy in terms of winds either. Sometimes these events can really blow up some damaging or destructive winds and wind gusts, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the case in this event here. Maybe inland towards some of the mountainous areas, we could be seeing some wind gusts towards 60 or 70 kilometers an hour. But again, coastal areas kind of only maxing out at 60 kilometers an hour, so nothing crazy there. There'll still be some pretty big waves moving ashore for the Sydney area Sunday afternoon and into Monday morning, probably talking about 3 to 4 meters or so. But again, nothing crazy there. In fact, they're a little bit lower than what I thought, only 3 meters, but still coastal conditions could be slightly hazardous in some areas. Certainly could be some strong rip currents around, so take extra care in and around the water. But apart from that, doesn't really look like anything too interesting on the long-term forecast either in terms of strong cold fronts. Looks like we're going to see a pretty significant front happen towards the later parts of May by the looks of things. I mean, this is a very good lineup through here of a very strong cold front by the looks of things towards the end of May, starting to develop towards the north of the Kerguelen Islands. Whether that impacts Western Australia or Australia as a whole is going to be a bit of a different story here, but it's certainly that time of the year we're expecting some big fronts to start moving through. Now it's time that we talk about what's happening in the Arafura Sea. I've been talking about this system for quite a while now. It's still on the cards. There's still a pretty good chance of a tropical low, or at least a low pressure system here forming in the monsoon, which will deliver some rainfall to northern parts of the Northern Territory and also for far north Queensland as well. Don't write them off for rainfall in the early parts of next week, which I will touch on in just a second. But this low pressure system is expected to dance around next to New Guinea and into the Indonesian islands as well, between Timor and New Guinea most likely, and it'll be driving a little bit of rainfall and thunderstorm activity across into the Northern Territory as well. So expect 25 millimeters across a lot of the parts of the top end and also into Arnhem Land as well. around Catherine, Darwin, Cape Wessel, Nullarbor and Groote Island too. You can't be riding off up towards 30 or 40 millimetres, maybe up towards Cape Wessel as well. Expect up to 100 millimetres of rainfall. There could be a significant fall or two around there, but as you get inland, the falls will be much more sporadic and unpredictable. But yeah, where this low pressure system is expected to kind of stall over, rainfall accumulations are going to be quite high. We're talking 600 millimetres plus. So yeah, quite interesting up there. And also for far north Queensland as well, because it's going to be positioned where we're going to see driving rainfall ashore up there. There's going to be some significant rainfall totals occurring in far north Queensland between Tully, Innisfail and up towards Cairns too. We're talking close to 150 or 160 millimetres for some areas, but that will fall pretty consistently over the next 10 days, so I'm not overly concerned there. In terms of rainfall over the next 24 hours, nothing too crazy, and again over the next 3 days, nothing too crazy, before it steadily starts to increase through the next 5 to 10 days. It'll probably actually be later on in the forecast period as well, but again, it's going to be pretty consistent up there, so the rainfall is certainly not done. It happens most days of the year. In fact, in far north Queensland, it is the wettest part of Australia, so I'm hardly surprised that they're still getting rainfall, but again, can't be riding off a significant fall or two up there. Now, I'm going to have to move all the way to Mozambique and Tanzania to take a look at our tropical cyclone. Of course, no threat to Australia, but north of the Seychelles, we do have a current tropical cyclone. Tropical Cyclone Hidayah, a late season Category 3 strength severe tropical cyclone on the Australian scale, which is moving towards Tanzania and is expected to make a landfall in the next 24 hours or so. There's going to be some coverage on the Cyclones Extra channel, so don't miss out on it. Go and click the link in the description to get access to that channel as well. And if you haven't subscribed to that already, then please do consider subscribing. But take a look at it. It is developing quite nicely. It's now a Category 3 strength severe tropical cyclone on the Australian scale, a Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, and is likely going to be bringing some heavy rainfall and damaging winds ashore to the northern parts of Mozambique, parts of Tanzania, the Seychelles, and also Malawi as well. Northern Madagascar looks to have been spared from this tropical system, which is very good news indeed. But yeah, the Comoros Islands and the Seychelles, oh no, the Seychelles are way up here, I forgot, but the Comoros Islands certainly could be in for some damaging winds, heavy rainfall, and some significant wave heights as well. There's a compact system. It's not expected to grow in size too much, and it will be making landfall probably in the next 24 hours or so on the coastline of Tanzania, which is a rare system to impact the Tanzanian coastline. Every so often you get a tropical cyclone go for Tanzania or Mozambique. Mozambique even more common than Tanzania, and then Kenya up north is very, very rare, but we did have one to go for Kenya last year. But it's a very common late season tropical cyclone track for the Southwest Indian Ocean, and it just shows you that the tropics can fire out surprises at all times of the year. May, you still do see the chance of systems in the Southwest Indian Ocean, but it's far less common than it would be in February or March, because that is, again, their tropical cyclone season, very much similar to the Australian tropical cyclone season. But again, if you are interested in tropical cyclone coverage, then make sure you are subscribed to the Cyclones Extra channel. But yeah, that is enough coverage on tropical cyclone Hidayah and enough talk on the Australian weather as well. I have actually noticed that there is some rainfall expected for central Queensland. There'll be more coverage on that in tomorrow morning's update, because it is a tomorrow threat at this time. But again, could be seeing up towards 25 millimetres there. That's bad research on my part. I should have noticed that a lot earlier on. But if you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider leaving a like, and also consider subscribing to the channel as well. Nearing in on 14,000. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes yesterday. I had a fantastic day. And yeah, there'll be daily updates from here on out, so make sure you are subscribed and leave a like on the video while you're at it as well. But that is all from me, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.